Jessel, welcome back to the pod.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Off of the reunion.
Hot.
How do you feel this morning? Guys, just to level set with you, everyone watched the reunion last night. We're filming this on Wednesday morning. So how did it feel to watch it?
I didn't watch it.
You didn't?
No.
Why?
I was at a fashion week
wow.
thing.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
girl.
we got priorities.
Oh, wow. Okay. She's too busy for her own reunion. Okay. How was the response? Like, what's the vibe of the text that you were getting? Or
So I think obviously part one of the reunion was like heavy Jessel, focused.
Yeah.
And I was getting a lot of positive. I think people were, finally just kind of like glad that I spoke up for myself because,
100%.
I really needed to like go into that being strong because it was a lot. It was a bit of a pile-on, as you guys saw. So I got a lot of positive response, just like, girl power type like vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people were just glad that I finally found my voice. Part two was obviously like, it was tougher and not so much for me, but I think for Ubah and Brynn, obviously like they had to hash it out and come to some kind of, I don't know whether kumbaya is the right word, but just kind of some kind of understanding. And hopefully, I think that, we saw that kind of happen. And yeah, but, we started off talking about pigeons and then we're like, it just got so quickly into a place where I don't think anyone expected.
I want to go back to the first half of the reunion. The girls felt strongly that you've kind of become like a different person since you started this process to now. Where do you think these sentiments come from? And you obviously don't agree with them, but where do you think that they come from in the minds of the other women?
I mean, to some degree, look, do I agree with them in the sense of like my lifestyle has, changed and obviously like it comes with the territory. Like I don't get glam. I never used to get glam like as much as I do now. And I don't like, have photographers shoot me at events. But I think it's like you have to understand you're on a national television show that has a cult following. It comes with the territory. And for that reason, yeah, like that element has changed. But me personally, I have not changed. I still have my husband and my kids. I wake up in the morning. I look like a homeless person, for the most part. Like it's just, I don't know why I was being singled out because every single one of them are doing it.
Totally.
Weird.
Yeah. I know. I was like, I'm going to try to not inject what I think, but we all know that was never going to happen. I don't think you've changed your personality. For me, the only thing that annoys me with Housewives, as someone who watches almost every franchise and has for all of time, is when people start to be too aware of the camera and they start to edit themselves or try to control people's view of them. And for better or worse, I genuinely don't think you do that. Or I think you kind of just like say what you say and you're very honest. I think you bring probably one of the most real views to your family life and whatever. So yeah. But I want to talk about like where they were talking about the work you'd have done. And like that was just such an interesting like weird moment.
Do you like my new face?
I just like talk about that moment on the reunion. It did feel a little accusatory. I personally don't find fault with that question. Some people were saying, oh, why did Andy ask it?
Yeah.
That is a tried and true Housewives question. I think Andy even responded with a tweet about that. And I think that that's like part of Housewives lore, but it did kind of feel like they were going and. So can you talk about that moment?
Yeah. And so just to go back to your point where, I wasn't offended that Andy asked me that question. In fact, he's been so complimentary. He always is so complimentary of us and, our outfits and if we look good and like that's just his vibe. Like he definitely like makes a woman feel good. And I think that, he's always been very, very positive around, me and how I look. So that aside, I wasn't offended by the question. I was about to answer and you see Brynn interject. And I think that's when things sort of went south. I was going through my laundry list. I was like, I got a haircut. I definitely have gotten Botox since I was, whatever, in my 20s. I do get filler here and there. Like I literally was going to go through the list. And Brynn basically brought up the fact that she introduced me to someone who she goes to. And she was like, yeah, you ran out on a bill. You like got your treatment done and you ran into an Uber. And so that like whole thing was so confusing because it never happened.
It didn't happen.
I never would just get treatment and assume that I wouldn't pay for it and run into an Uber. We had a very clear conversation about it. Was like, she was like, look, like we're a small business. Would you mind supporting? And I was like, of course. I went to her maybe like 3 or 4 times.
What'd you get done?
Botox and
an injectable. Okay, yeah, fine.
That was it.
Which is like I feel like every person like who's in the public facing is like, oh, I'll do a little pay for play. Like I'll post that, that's normal.
Yeah. But, in hindsight, I should never have gone to someone that Brynn recommended.
Right.
Because, then you sort of like set yourself up because she has visibility into something that really she has no business in.
Do you think she was trying to make you look bad?
Yes, 100%.
Do you think she was trying to embarrass you?
100%, yeah. I mean, why else bring it up? And it's not like she was being like, oh my God, you look amazing. Like, my girl's so great, blah, blah, blah. It was like, I wasn't paying. That's like so tacky. I would never do that.
Sure. Yeah. It was hard to watch. It did kind of feel like a setup.
Right.
A little bit.
It definitely was. And just to finish that off, like, I think that it took a turn for something that it shouldn't have. And I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm always like very, very open about what I get done. Who I'm working with, veneers, all that stuff. Like there's no reason to hide it because people can see it.
Yeah. I'm pro work, but also if you didn't want to say, I'm sure, I can't think of a time, but I'm sure there have been times on Housewives where they would say like, I don't know, maybe I did get some, it's up to the person.
Well, I was
no shame in it either way. I just think it's like, it just felt pointed to you.
It felt a little aggressive. And I think I was so confused because I was like, wait, are they insinuating I got a facelift or a nose job or like a butt lift or a boob job? Like those things I've never done.
Well, because then it puts the question in people's mind. If she was saying, well, and then people are thinking, ooh, is there something she's not going to say? Which is not a very sisterly thing to do.
Oh, 100% not sisterly. Yeah. And I think that's why you see I was so confused. I'm like, what am I missing here? But
okay.
Yeah.
So Ubah is a model. Rebecca designs bags. You all have, lots of different jobs. Why can't Brynn tell us what she does for a job?
It has always been this very umbrella statement. I mean, I know that she works. I've met people that have worked with her.
Doing what?
PR and marketing.
Okay.
So comms.
Okay.
It's kind of the same thing that I do.
Okay.
But she's a little bit more on the corporate side. So she works with like bigger companies. I just don't understand why she's not fully embracing that like career path. It just like, maybe she has at times, maybe we've missed it, but she seems to shy away. Like even when I think you see me at lunch with her and I was like, oh, so tell me about the team, how many people, She's working on a startup right now. It's a dating app. Okay. And I'm so curious, if you're a startup, like you're so, I would imagine that you would want to talk about it, right? Yeah, it was a bit cagey.
So, why do you think that is? Like, why do you think that she wants to appear mysterious? Do you think it's that she's, I don't know. I think everyone is just a bit confused why she can't just say. And there was that weird line when she said to Sai, I do what you do.
Which was so bizarre.
So weird. And it just felt like, marketing and comms is a great job that many people would kill for. So I don't know why she wouldn't just say that or talk about her startup.
Yeah. I mean, she did. I think, I don't know if it got edited out. I can't remember. But she did very like briefly touch on it. Maybe the management or whoever like is running the show with the startup doesn't want her to share too much. I mean, who knows? I personally have not like had too much exposure to what she's doing. I think every time I feel like I'm asking questions, it feels like I'm violating that area for her. So I don't want to probe, but
it does feel like there's sometimes a double standard with her and with a couple of the other women on the shows about like questions.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Brynn talking about bonding with Aaron and Sai over talking shit about you was really horrible. And I feel like the reunion didn't really allow you enough time to confront her on that part of it. Is there anything else that you would have liked to say to her?
I think that she lives for like the entertainment element of things. So like, whether or not she thought that basically like bringing that up would create, and rightly so, she did create a moment for herself.
Yeah.
But it was the wrong thing to bring up.
Of course.
I mean, I just wish that she would understand the repercussions of her actions, and I just don't think she does sometimes. It's like, LOL, like so funny, ha, she said this, that, and the other. Meanwhile, I have a serious relationship. I have a serious family unit. Everything I've built like over so many years, and it's just something like that could be so damaging in the moment.
Yeah.
So I hope she understands the weight of it. I don't honestly know if she does, but I think I said my part, and yeah.
You did, yeah. So yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you is looking back at Brynn's apology to you, do you think it was genuine, and has she apologized to Pavit?
She apparently did.
Okay, interesting.
I didn't know this, and actually he didn't know this. She DM'd him, which I find strange as well.
I feel like she could probably get his number.
She could easily have gotten his number, or she could have just asked me for it. I would have happily have given it to her. But
how did he feel about the...
Well, the DM went into a weird like partnerships folder. I don't know. It was so weird. Maybe I don't know where she did it from, but I don't know. I think for Pavit, he's very black and white, right? Like he's super cutthroat, more so than I am. I mean, more so than anyone that I know is, to be frank. He really liked Brynn, and we trusted her. Like she would come to our home, hang out with our kids. They would be in the kitchen, feeding them. Like I open my doors to someone, and it feels very much like I got stabbed in the back with that whole conversation. And Pavit hasn't expressed it, but I think he feels the same way.
I'm sure he feels super hurt. I mean, it's a really sensitive thing. I think it was definitely one of the most raw parts of the reunion, is just watching you explain how damaging that was and how difficult it was for you to watch back with your husband. It was really... Yeah, it was hard to watch, but I'm glad. So you and Pavit are okay with it now. You work through it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that he is fully aware that she embellished the story.
Right. Mixing up love of your life with hottest hookup is
crazy.
It's something.
It really is.
It kind of just goes back to I think it's a mixture of what you said. I think it was trying to create a moment and trying to create drama, but it's always at the expense of other people.
Right.
And that's not how you make friends, and that's not how you get closer, especially to other women.
It's not how you gain trust or build trust, I would say. And even, I think she saw the episode, obviously, I'm assuming. I would have just imagined that she would have wanted to text me in that moment, right? Or just called me and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't, whether or not she knew that it was the wrong story or not, the fact that she still spoke shit about me for, 20 minutes on a national television show, someone who's supposed to be her friend. And I've had her back. I mean, you see, I've said 1,000 times, I'm so happy for Brynn's startup career. I'm so happy that she's doing what she loves. And I just don't know that she thought this through.
Yeah. Yeah. You had mentioned that Pavit is thinking about an apology to Sai. Where are we on that?
So, God, it's a tricky one. I don't think he's going to do it.
Why do you think he's so resistant?
Because I think that he feels like he deserves an apology too.
Okay.
And I don't think that she's, open to that. Or maybe I don't know. We don't talk about it. It is it's like the elephant in the room.
You and Sai don't talk about it, or you and Pavit don't talk about it?
Sai and I don't talk about it.
Yeah.
And we didn't. I mean, Sai and I reconciled and we became a lot closer this season. And it was something that I didn't bring up. I didn't realize she was still upset about it. And you see that in Puerto Rico when we had that little couch moment. I don't know that she wants to apologize to Pavit, and therefore I don't think he's going to apologize back. I think it has to be a 50-50.
A mutual thing that you guys come together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, she did take a step to hug him, which was a big moment for me.
No, of course.
I was watching in slow motion, oh my God, how is he going to react? And she did go in to hug him, and that was, I think, definitely progress. And she made that move. So I don't know. It's tough, right?
But how are you with Sai?
Good. I was just with her last night. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. Yeah. Oh, at the fashion show. Who was it? Who of the housewives was at the fashion show?
Rebecca was there.
Okay.
Myself and Jenna walked. It was so fun.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah,
okay, all right. So Rebecca on the helicopter to the Hamptons, she said that her business was down 70% since COVID, and that was a big motivation of her joining the cast. What is your response to that? Or what do you think about that as a motivation to be on the show?
Look, I mean, in full transparency, I think everyone comes on, or everyone expects the exposure to give some kind of credibility to a business, whether it's something you're starting or whether it's something that is existing. I don't think she's doing anything wrong by coming on the show and making that statement. But I wonder if it was the only reason, and I hope that it's not, because I think that the show in itself has so much more to offer than just to grow a business. I don't think she was given a fair ride.
Okay.
I don't.
Say more about that.
I feel like she wasn't given a safe space to be herself. I think she was being attacked by Brynn from day one. And that immediately kind of puts you in a shell, right? Like, even for myself, when, I was doing the first season and you sort of see all these things play out and you get all this like weird energy from people, I went into a shell too. So I can definitely like relate to that, especially when it comes to her.
Do you agree with Rebecca's statement that she was open to discussing Scientology?
Yes. So I do think she was open. I think, though, she's receptive to smart, intelligent questions and not like the gossip.
The gawking.
Yes. And the documentaries and like, oh my God, did you see this? And this person's missing. And, I think it's very easy when you're talking about something like Scientology to kind of go there. And she, again, didn't feel like it was a safe space to really like share her experience of what it is to be in Scientology.
On the reunion, you said that you'd gone to dinner with her and you guys had talked about it. Was that kind of what changed your... from watching the reunion in that moment, it kind of felt like you'd gone to dinner and you'd kind of had a really open conversation. Who was it? You, Rebecca, and...
Raquel.
And Raquel.
Yeah.
And so it was a safe space and she like opened up more about it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, Raquel's super intelligent. I was asking questions that, were just really... I think like deep questions that you would ask about any religion, to be honest. And it wasn't about, the sort of like celebrity element of it or like, the sort of like surface stuff that you hear in the press. It was very much about like, why does Rebecca relate so deeply to this religion and what does she get out of it, And she was very open and honest about it. Okay. So I just wish that had been a little bit more apparent on the show.
I was going to say, do you wish that she had just shared that up front?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think she was nervous.
Do you think that it was, do you think that she thought that people were genuinely not going to be curious? Because I feel like with you ask questions about every religion, but there is so much information about so many religions. It seems like with Scientology, there isn't that much information out there. So I think it's human nature to be super curious about something that we don't know a lot about.
Yeah.
So I wonder if she actually thought that that wasn't going to be like, I mean, it's to be expected that people are curious about it.
No, definitely. And I think maybe on her part, she went into it maybe a little bit naive that it wouldn't get brought up, but it absolutely did get brought up. I mean, from day one. And I just think that we started on the wrong foot with it. Like, I think if we had started with that conversation at dinner, maybe initially, like she would have...
And you would have been more...
Yeah.
She didn't have anybody to be like, well, actually, she told me about it. Like, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like she almost should have just addressed it up front. Like, I feel like she could have had a funny moment.
Totally.
In the start and been like, by the way, yes, I know you're all excited to have your first Scientology housewife.
Yeah.
Like, this is true, that's not true, and made a joke, and then everyone would have been like, oh, like, okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly. I think it felt like it came with a weight, right? Like a responsibility.
100%.
And I get it. Like, it was tough for her.
What is your take on the prank? I mean, I feel like I feel so differently about it now, seeing her apologize to everyone and being like, it was clear that it was from this place of trying to connect, but it was just not the right way to go about it. And obviously, I feel like her apology was super heartfelt on Reunion. But in the moment, when you found out the prank, everything, what was your reaction?
It was just really poor taste and it definitely didn't land.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I will say about the prank. If I came to you and I said, hey, I have a great idea for a prank and it involves pretending I'm pregnant and it's some other guy, I would imagine that you would be like, hey, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
She didn't get that, right? So the poor girl.
When you say it like that.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, so the poor girl was like, oh, this is a great idea.
Yeah.
Because that's what she was led to believe.
Yeah. And that's why you need your friends to keep you in check.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I think if I had been, sitting opposite her in that moment, I would have been like, listen, let's think of something else because I don't think this is going to land very well.
Yeah.
And I just don't think she got that from the get-go.
Yeah.
So then you had this thing play out and it was just like, It was the most bizarre thing to be a part of.
It was bad. It was bad.
And then you're playing dodgeball, and it was like this, and it was just like I felt like it was in a Will like Ferrell like spoof. Honestly,
yeah,
it was very
was
odd.
too much, and like housewives' heads just do not. It's not. We don't like a prank like of that. Like that we're not in on the. It was just. Yeah, it was for me a low point of the season. Honestly, I was just like,
same here, sister. I was like, God, do I have to be a part of this? Like it was.
Yeah.
Not great.
Okay, and so Rebecca just announced that on Instagram she's leaving RHONY. How do you feel about that?
Look, I'm obviously not. I really wish she would stay at least for one more season.
Yeah.
I think her time was short-lived. I don't think the audience really got to know her. She is really witty and funny and a very kind-hearted person. And I've grown to very much adore her.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that people don't get exposure to that. But look, I think she has a young family. She's got a very loving husband. She's got a business that she's growing.
Yeah.
So I respect her decision. You know?
Of course. No, I've gotten to hang out with her a couple times, and she's always been super, super sweet and just nice and like a sweet person.
Yeah.
So
She's
do you think you'll remain friends with her?
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. Where do you land on Brynn and the story she tells of Ubah not clocking it?
Oh my God. I mean, here's the thing. If I had said to you, hey, like I woke up one day and I made a bagel and I had cream cheese and I went for a walk and I found out I was pregnant and then I came back home and then I went for dinner. Then like 3 months later, I'm like, I told you I was pregnant.
Right.
Like you didn't clock that?
Yeah.
Like that's what it seems to me. It was apparently in this long laundry list of things that she was sharing with Ubah. And to me, someone like Ubah she's extremely detail orientated, she's extremely caring, and she does not miss a single point. So if she had heard that, she would have been like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I genuinely watching it back and watching the pain on her face in the reunion, you can think whatever you want about Ubah as a housewife or whatever, but she would go apeshit if she heard that. Like, if she heard that her friend had been
violated,
sexually assaulted, she would be the type of person who would like start like weeping and like being like, oh my God, like what are we gonna like? And so working backwards, that's why wouldn't you think that that's odd if you told your friend that the worst thing had happened to you and they didn't even mention it?
Right. And wouldn't you then follow up and be like, I told you something, you didn't respond?
Yeah, you would say it, or it would come up in the next months. You would say, by the way, like, you never mentioned that thing that like that's really hurt, or like I just think that that's not how a friend would react. They did have a friendship. They were really close.
Yeah.
So working backwards, I don't see how she could have ever thought that she heard it.
It just is such a strange like series of events to ignore, and that's why I think if you see on my face, even for me, when Brynn is telling us that Ubah knew, you see my jaw sort of drop, because knowing Ubah the way I do, I'm like their entire dynamic would be different.
Of course,
like from like her core, I don't think that she would have acted or have said or have even her energy towards Brynn would have changed. It would have been completely different.
Of course, I agree with you. There's just no way that she. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that she didn't hear it. There's no way she heard it. There's no freaking way.
There's no way. There's no way. And Brynn is adamant that she did say it.
Do you think she did say it?
I just think that let's just say in hindsight, she did say it, right? Like knowing that Ubah knows something like that, I would have imagined she would have followed up or have been like, at least like, hey, just FYI, you and my brother are the only ones that know this. Like,
totally.
Please don't
like
share.
Some follow up.
Something.
Yeah.
Something.
I think that's also why.
It's just there's a missing piece of the puzzle here for me.
Yeah. And I feel like when it was all kicking off on that episode, I think that she didn't realize like how serious of an accusation it was, and then that's why she said it in such a nonchalant way. But it was just so jarring. Like, and I didn't really feel that she understood the gravity of the situation, even on the reunion. It's a really serious accusation.
Right.
And when everyone was saying like this could have ruined her life, again, I didn't really feel like she understood.
No.
I felt like she felt like people were attacking her. And I you know what? Whatever, again, you think of all the women, I think it is a group of incredibly supportive women who would ride for a victim of sexual assault, like in a really serious heartbeat. And, you know, it didn't feel like she understood that that's why you guys were all upset. It felt like she thought, oh, well, everyone's attacking me again.
Yeah.
But it was just the last in a long line of pretty bad behavior that puts other people.
Right. And you know what? Like, it really sucks because, you know, she shared something that was so, it's so hard to share something like that. And I feel like it got tainted by something else, and it really shouldn't have, and it did. And I know she's feeling that, but at the same time, like, there was no element of course correcting, in my opinion. Like, as soon as she saw that episode, or, you know, first of all, she should have seen it before the reunion, like the morning of the reunion. But I just feel like there was a moment where she was able to figure this out, and she never took the opportunity.
I feel like I read the Rolling Stone piece after, and that really felt like doubling down.
Yeah.
And it's just a really, really serious thing that like, that's not something you can do and to a friend. So Sai said, I thought one of the most powerful quotes of the reunion was, "You weaponized your experience for the downfall of a friend." What do you think about that?
Yeah. You know, unfortunately, I think it reads true. I really don't think she understood the weight of her words, and that is a powerful thing to say. And I'm certain that Sai didn't say that, you know, without thinking it through, because it's in itself like a very, you know, it's a very direct accusation.
Yeah. I felt like Sai was really kind of very non-emotional, but I say that in a good way, almost, in the reunion, where she was dealing in facts, and she was trying to convey how serious an accusation and how deep the hurt was. I mean, not even just for Ubah, but for all of you guys. I felt like it was a pretty bad experience and pretty like confusing and just gut-wrenching to watch, really. And so I did appreciate Sai's bluntness, not to hurt Brynn, but just to kind of bring everyone back down and deal in facts.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been like, I'm blue in the face with this like topic. I think there's
sure.
like no, there's no way to justify it, to be honest.
So where do Brynn and Ubah stand after they made up at the reunion? The 180 that Ubah made was kind of wild. Like, it felt like in the beginning, in the first half of the reunion, I was like, oh, this is like unfixable. And then at the end, felt a bit more mended.
You know, not to speak for Ubah, but I think you hear her say she has to forgive her in order for her to move on. And I think that's what you see play out. You know, will Ubah ever be the same with Brynn again? 100% no.
Right.
Has she forgiven in order for her to move on? I think yes. But, you know, I don't think they'll ever be in the same room comfortable with each other ever again.
Is Brynn coming back? Do you know for sure?
No one knows anything.
No one knows anything. Would you be happy to film with her and move forward?
I would be very, very careful about what I say.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Brynn, I have a facial tomorrow morning, and then I don't know if that's going to be spun with, oh, she's getting a fucking facelift. Do you know what I mean? I think that it's like, I just don't know. I just don't know, like, if what I say is going to be spun into this like crazy, like, situation.
Right.
But look, it's a big shame. I was very close to Brynn. I adore her. I hope that she's getting, you know, or actually like speaking to someone to help her through what she's been through. It hasn't been easy. She's been getting a lot of social, like, you know.
And I felt that like in the second half of the reunion, I was like, I genuinely hope she gets help that like to work through all of the bad things that have happened, and also to deal with the backlash, because I think people online can be so brutal. And like, I don't agree with anything she did this season. I think it was a really like hard watch for in terms of her storyline from, she just kept fumbling and lying and making like hurting other people. That being said, I think the pile-on probably feels horrendous, and it's like,
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you have to just take responsibility, ownership, and move on. Like,
I think that would have helped a lot. Curb the backlash is if she was like walked into a reunion and was like, "Hey guys, I fucked up." Like watching it back, I can clearly see you didn't know because of who you are as a friend. There's no way you could have known, and I just want to apologize to Ubah and to all of you guys from the bottom of my heart, because you're all been really supportive of me. That would have taken it down so many levels. It's just about self-awareness and responsibility.
And it's so simple. And I even told her, I said, the Rolling Stone article was an opportunity for you to sort of like rein it back.
Yeah.
But I think playing defense isn't helping. And I really do want her story to be like understood. And I just don't think that she's given herself that opportunity. So.
Yeah. I don't even think she knows what her real story is. Deep, you know what I mean? I think she needs to pare all of this back and get to who she is as a person.
Agreed.
And not like, I think so much of it is like so performative, and that's a trauma response.
Yeah.
But it's your responsibility as an adult to address your traumas and not hurt other people because of them.
Agreed. And I think she has so much going for her. She's so beautiful. She's so smart.
Yeah.
All of the things.
And she was a fan favorite in season 1.
Right.
People, she...
Yeah, she really did capture the heart of a lot of people, and I wish nothing but the best for her. And
Okay, so Brynn was accused of self-producing many times in this season. Did you feel that way? And do you feel that any of the other women self-produce?
Yeah, I mean, going back to your, statement about being aware of the cameras, and I think that's kind of like second season curse, right? Mm-hmm. Where you sort of know, like, okay, well, I need to have this storyline. And I think Brynn took the role of like Justin Baldoni. Oh, sorry, excuse my French, but I mean, it was like, you're in the show and then you're also a director.
Yeah.
And it was just so like, I see it play out and I'm like, you don't need to tell people what to do. Like, you see her telling Rebecca how to act. And I think that it really takes away from being the authenticity of the show.
Yeah.
Like the show is really following our lives and following our storylines through a certain period of time. And you don't need to create those moments. I think those moments will naturally occur.
Yeah.
And it just felt like it was a lot,
I feel like those moments occur more when everybody is just themselves.
Definitely.
The OG RHONY being the perfect example of that. They were just themselves, and the craziest shit happened because they just let it be.
Right.
So...
Yeah, no, definitely. And look, like, have any of the other girls taken opportunities? I'm sure that everyone's hyper aware of like, oh, if I do this, then this will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which housewife do you wish shared more of their personal life?
Jenna.
Yeah.
I really do, because I have to say, and this is through no fault of her own, I think being in a relationship where, it is not the ideal scenario for her partner to be on the show or to be, to be represented on the show in any type of way. I know it's hard for Jenna, but her relationship with Cass is so good. And it's like so much fun.
Yeah.
And they're so amazing together, and they're funny. And I just really wish that people could see that dynamic,
Do you guys hang out a lot?
Yeah. I mean, I was with them last night. Yeah.
So fun.
I was with them last night. We were together for Watch What Happens Live. They have a really great like chemistry.
Yeah.
And it would make for TV gold, honestly.
Yeah.
But I respect it.
Yeah. For sure.
Fun.
I think you and Erin really lead the charge with being like model housewives. You share a lot. You guys both put a lot out there.
Yeah.
And it's just that's what it is. I think that's what it is to be a housewife. And
yeah, absolutely.
I really credit both of you guys because you. Who do you think was best dressed at the reunion? Aside from you.
I was going to say myself. No, listen, Jenna knows how to make a statement. I don't think she was best dressed, but I think that she broke the internet with that look, which is fucking brilliant. I mean, she's brilliant. Best dressed, I would have to say maybe Raquel.
I was going to say Raquel.
Yeah.
I thought she looked so beautiful.
Really, the
all
hair.
the references and
I mean, she is art personified.
I loved her energy. I loved it. It was so different. She's so sincere.
Yeah.
She's so, I mean, she shared actually a lot about her relationship too, like getting honest about like her mom and all that. She, I guess on the whole, everybody did try really to share more this season. So it's good. But yeah, I love her energy on the show. She looks great. Okay, whose outfit did you not like at the reunion? Who's worst dressed?
I did not like Brynn.
Okay.
I just feel like she's got such a hot body. And
she has a model body.
Swimming in this sea of like
fabric.
sequin.
Yeah.
And feathers.
Yeah,
I was like, it wasn't giving, I mean, listen, she was inspired by Jar Jar Gabor or whatever, but it's also giving like 7-year-old, like Upper East Side, takes the dog for a walk in Central Park type vibes. I was like not into it.
Okay, so the last 5 episodes of the season were so crazy. Did you hear from any past RHONY cast or any other housewives in the Bravo-verse while it was all going down?
Babe, you have no idea. Chanel Ayan was so upset. I mean, and she wanted to go to press. Like she was so fired up. I had to walk her off a ledge. I mean, she was in Paris for Couture, and she was like, Ubah saying, like, I can't talk to press, but I really want to. And, obviously she's very protective of Ubah.
Of course.
So Chanel was definitely like, invested. I saw Dorinda last week. Also like, what?
Was she fired up?
Yeah. It was, I think we really struck a nerve.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, it's supposed to be drunk women like falling backwards in bushes. Like, this is not what typically they know RHONY to be. And I think everyone's just a little bit shell-shocked.
I totally get that. Can you see a path forward for this group of women as is, or do you think changes would need to be made?
I definitely think there has to be a bit of a shake-up.
Yeah.
I do. I don't know what that means or what that entails, but you see the casting notice. It's like, it's in progress, I would say. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But my, ideal scenario would be to like get, a couple more women who are just fun. Like, I think that this RHONY has now become closer friends, but at the beginning it was more like you guys didn't know each other that well, and I think actually through this you have been. But I think you need a few more people in the cast know now who are really fun, who are light, like love to party, like to go out, like genuine like lightness, so that there can be a bit more of that fun like falling in the bushes drama. But I think the key is to get people that you guys already know. I do too.
Like my friend, because that's how Sonia came on, and she was Ramona's best friend.
100%.
And it look at the TV gold that we got from that. So it has to be something like that. If you got like 2 of those, I think it really could.
Yeah, I really, really hope so. And I, have gone through my Instagram like Rolodex, and I've like shared as many people as I think, would work for the show. And it just, let's see what happens. So
last time you were on, you mentioned that Rihanna DM'd you. Have you heard from her or any celebrities since?
Babe, you're gonna die.
Who?
No. So that whole conversation about my glam and how I get glammed, Rihanna literally DM'd me the day after, and she was like, I live for your glam. Can you introduce me to your makeup artist?
Shut up. Oh my God, I bet your makeup artist is obsessed with you.
So I was like 100% yes, like you would love her. Grace is incredible. By the way, my facelift look, like it's I think 70% of it is my makeup. I changed my makeup
100%. If you can get a good
it makes all the difference.
Yeah.
So anyway, I introduced Grace to Rihanna.
That's crazy.
She went to her apartment.
Stop.
And glammed her up twice, actually. So yeah, you're welcome, Rihanna. It was the ultimate clapback. I wish I could post, like, I have so many pictures of Rihanna.
Oh from that my God, that is so cool. And now the brushes that your makeup artist used has also touched Rihanna's face. Exactly. That's stunning.
Oh, I should tell her not to cleanse them.
Yeah, I'd be like, don't wash them. I want to fall over my face. Okay, well, that's a great note to end on. Thank you for coming on and being so honest. I'm a RHONY. I'm a housewives head till I die. I hope that you guys. I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited to see the next iteration, because I feel like this season was like a growing pain season, and I do see a lot of good stuff in the future
I
for
do
you guys.
too.
So
I do
thank you for all of the laughs this season and being vulnerable. And thanks for coming on my show.
As always, big kiss.